So now we're live, but for some reason, the old stream, this is one of the issues I'm having, guys. I'm sorry. Let's see if this works. So I'm not sure if let me start this with. So I'm having issues streaming, like it keeps ending, and I'm sorry about that. But I've been sculpting this for a while, and I think I was like 20, 30 minutes in, and then I realized I checked the stream and it wasn't live anymore, which is really frustrating because that's what happened last time. So I'm just going to keep going. This is a problem I'm having, and I think it's because of the internet. I'm sorry about that, but as you can tell, if you're coming back to the stream from the last stream, zoomed in a little bit, you can see that it's not a big sculpture, and this actually creates a lot of complexity because then you need smaller tools. The best tool really is to work larger, full-size portraits because you can take measurements directly from your model if you have a model in front of you. But yeah, on this one, I start to mask in the hair, as you can tell, and there's still quite a bit to add. Also, the widest part of the hair is right here, and there's a reason for that. It's because the skull is also widest here at the parietal bone, and I've been massing it in nice and slowly. But you can see here that that break in the shadow tells you that that's where it starts to go back. So I just got to add a little bit more. And because everything is very, very cold here, the gets cold as well. So I like to use a heater like this to melt. And just give it a little buzz and then you can do this. It actually feels like water clay at that point. It's like you're painting with it. You see that? Look how cool that is. Actually, this clay, this oil clay, JMac clay, and even Chavon gives you like a water clay feeling. It's the closest thing I've found to water clay. But you see this? That is the lump of clay I have, and it's hard. It's just too hard to work. So I like to just warm it up. I have a little heater beside me, and I just want to get it. And this, the hair is going to change. So this is, I'm massing it in. And I'm going to start doing other things. He also has a mustache and a beard. All difficult things to do in sculpture. So I just want to look for the more important things. He's got bags into his eyes, which is okay. Hope everybody's doing okay. I I'm hanging on. Yeah, cold. I hate the cold. I don't know why I live here. So annoying. For me, out in Orlando, the name Orlando, Florida sounds good, right? That's where they have like that Disney World, right? Let's see. You know, I'll be right back. Put this in the microwave. Is there? Okay, I'm gonna take a 5 minute breather here, guys. I will be right back. I'm just gonna put this in the microwave. right? I am back. So I actually put this in the microwave. That's it. If you're watching, it only takes a couple of minutes and it's liquid. So right now I made a big mess. I could pour this out if I wanted. That's how freaking liquidy it has become. And by the way, you can get burned by, touching it. So I'm going to let it sit for a bit. And I'll just keep doing this. So I'll take my scraping tool. You see, you can scrape away all of this. Let me check to make sure we're still online. I have no idea. YouTube. I didn't keep doing that. I think if I go offline, I'm probably just going to upload it. This nasty. Yeah, I am making a face. Oh, a living. Yeah. Yeah, I'm making a face. Let me turn off my mic here. Yeah, I'm making a portrait, and hopefully, you guys, I won't say who it is. I like to, if it doesn't end up the way I want it, then I'll just delete it. But yeah, I'm doing a portrait. I'll give you a hint. It's a artist, a famous artist, and he's got a very gaunt appearance. It's a cool look. I should lose some weight. Something with that cool. So I'm just adding, you know, I have a reference up for a a skull, but I just like wanted to put some reference up while I was doing this. It's kind of confusing. I do use my reference that I have up. I have a big screen in front of me. And that's a TV screen, but yeah, it would be too distracting if I use that. I need to use something better. I kind of would like to have. Yeah, you're right. He does have 2 years, so yeah, definitely not him. That's fine. Yeah, Van Gogh. What's that story behind it here? Kind of an off. Does it a woman or something? I do like Van Gogh. Artists actually look pretty cool. Like Rodin. There used to be a time when like artists had really cool looks. I think the beards. The problem? Like every alpha Chad guy has now beard, but it's like a kind of like a made up masculinity. The old school artists, they had really cool beards. Even Monet, Rodin, Van Gogh, who's another artist. Picasso would actually be a very good artist. Yeah, for some reason, I have to keep going back and checking the stream because it keeps ending. Uh, this is a problem I've had before with YouTube. I think it's really just my connection. So I'm gonna have to like pay attention to what happens. It's really annoying. But I'm new to streaming, so I'm making mistakes. But also I've learned quite a bit. The stream is actually better than when I started. To lose the track, yeah, yeah. To lose the track, yeah. We look up what he looked like. I know what he looked like. But Henry the Toulouse Lautrec. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, he was a short guy from the Game of Thrones. Yeah. There's a couple of his sculptures. He actually sculpted. No, was he? I think he did. 'Cause I think they're at the NGA. He did the characters, the French politicians. Right. Let me look it up. He did I think it still is the track. He did like little kind of sculptures, which are now RGA carry sculptures. Oh, wait a minute. He did this. Hold on a second. One. Dumier? I swear to God, like YouTube. or Google nowadays. Oh, it's Honore Domier. I thought it was to lose the track. Because, to lose the track, yeah, your streams end randomly sometimes. I try to check back. Yeah, I don't know why. I think it's really just my connection. I'm on Wi-Fi, so I'm gonna have to figure out a way to bring the cable down here. I'll figure it out. What really bothers me that it ends is then I have like 10 streams for one sculpture. Yeah, sorry, it wasn't him. It was Honore Domier, but he did Honore Domier is mostly a painter, but he did all of these little tiny characters of politicians and artists. And I know because it's at the National Gallery, and they're quite fascinating. So this little wire tool is great because you can blend the muscles together just by doing that. And I actually like the texture it creates. That's my clay bucket. Barely anything in there. Yeah, Degas. I've seen quite a few of his sculptures. He did a lot of horses, and he did a lot of wax sculptures, and he put hair and fuzz. It looks great, and that's something I like as well. I think I started doing wax sculpture because Degas sculptures. I do like his ballerinas. I'm not into the subject of ballerinas, but they're really cool. They're a really cool look, and he was really good at the horse anatomy, which is one of the more important types of sculptures you could do back then. It's hard to believe that everybody just rode horses back then. You can even use your finger and kind of push them aside. Hopefully the chat is not on the screen there. So on this one, you want this to be a little bit more narrow. We'll take the excess clay, put it on the hair like that. Push this up a bit. So here, and then I'm missing some clay. I'm gonna cut a piece off of one of my sculptures right here. And I'm back. So I have here more clay. I think this much should right, but I think I'm gonna take this guy. I've been cutting him up. So sad. I actually never even made a printout of this soldier I sculpted back in the day. I'm cutting and trimming. Oh, it's so tough. Can't really see it on the screen. We're gonna zoom out for that. Yeah, this looks tiny. Yeah, a tiny little statue. Uh, sorry. Oh, look at that. Melted. Just need to take some pieces off of here. Yeah, he did. He was a great artist. I mean, I love Degas' works. He was like an amazing painter. I mean, like really fantastic and so unique. You know, like you can't make a mistake in mistaking him for another artist. You know, like Degas, like every Degas looks the same or looks similar, right? Like it's that look. It's a sensitivity too. You know, even his drawings, they're not heavy-handed. You look at his drawings and goes, "Yeah, that's a very fine artist." Get it? Fine artist. But you know, Degas, his teacher is actually my favorite. Like John Dominic Ang. And I think he's better. I like his style much more as a painter and as a drawer. But you see the distinction between Ang and Degas. Ang was like very fine drawings, his portraits, his line drawings of portraits. So good. The best I have ever seen in my life. I've seen a show of Degas, and his drawings are just amazing. Like a book just can't reproduce it. And seeing it up close, they're like little tiny things. And then you see Degas' drawings, and you're like, yeah, he learned from him because you see the cross hatching is similar. But, you know, a lot of times you'll have artists who try to be other, the teachers, other teachers, but they're never end up being as good. But Degas was as good as Ang, except very different. You just can't, different personalities. You know, the worst thing I have found is that are artists who try to copy other artists. And actually, you probably shouldn't hang out with artists too much, just so you don't get their vibe. You know, around here, there's a couple like teachers who are really good, and the students always look like the teacher's artwork. Never, and it's never like as good. That's the danger. You know, and Degas. There's been like very famous artists, teachers. Like Da Vinci had Verrocchio. Verrocchio was a really good sculptor. Yeah, and he was a sculptor. And he taught Da Vinci. And yeah, and of course Egg. So Degas learned from Egg, and Egg learned from Jacques Louis David. Really awesome. That lineage of French art is just incredible. It's my favorite. One of my favorites. I would say 19th century. 19th century is like my favorite. Yeah. I really love 19th century art. 19th century French art. Hmm. Let me see that for you. One of the things I'm doing here, zoom in now. So you have the nose with this line right there. Always good to indicate. And right about here, you have that bridge of the nose. You know, that's where the bone is. Where the bone meets the cartilage. And on this particular person, that bridge is widened. It tends to be widened, but his is very distinct. It's a little nose. That very the nose. Happy little nose. And here's there's a little nose. Here it gets wider a little shortly. Mine is a little bit more. I mean, I have a big nose, but this guy's so much more carved up. Like my nose, big, so you know, I take my glasses off. Yeah, it's a big one, but his is very interesting. the bridge is like so wide. But you know, when you're working small, you have to grab like little bits of clay like this, and then put it on your tool, and then just lay it and just ask yourself, what is that wider? Is that wide enough? That's nice. So another thing that's happening is like as it gets to here, this kind of comes down here like that. Excuse me. He's got kind of like a typical French nose, you know. This kind of goes up. I'm getting sick. He's got a little expression to his face. Make the ears just jacked out a bit. You know, one of the things people do with the sort of portrait sculptures, like the back of the ear here, they make it wide, like I have. You actually have to grab it, squeeze it, and bring it out. So when you look at it from the front, it stands out a bit more. If you need to push it back, all you do is kind of push it back with clay. And don't lose the proportions. I think one of the things I do is that I'll start sculpting and I'll forget where things are. I do struggle with that. I'm at, you know, one of my things for this year is I want to get better at sculpture or portrait sculpture. So as I'm looking at the profile here, it's his nose towards a little bit too much for. I think I'll have to get some more light going. Right now, the light is actually very dramatic, which I like. Libby says, I was a traditional or a portrait artist, but I've lost almost all my vision. So I'm switching to clay. Can't stop creating. Oh, that's good to hear. I mean, not good to hear about your vision, but good that you're doing clay. I like having more sculptors. You know, it's like around me. Very few sculptors, very few people that do this. And I've tried to like set up classes and there's no interest in sculpture. And that's how it goes. So this part actually is so you know like the you know Monet also lost his vision. So you're kinda like you're gonna be the Monet of sculpture. Let's look at the noise here. The bridge is actually like look at that. So let's put actually he's down a bit, you know. I think like when I first started sculpture, I was like trying to be quick about it. And you know, uh, can't read that the name. I'm sorry. Same here. I do enjoy painting, but I took up sculpting maybe a year ago, and I love the feeling of bringing something to life into the game. Yeah, it's great. Sculpture is definitely, you know, there's an artist. I think I said this in a couple of videos, but it always stands out to me. Sculpture is like one of the most noble of arts, but also the art you're most likely to die of hunger from. And that's because nobody tends to buy sculpture, which is unfortunate. So you're either creating monuments for governments or you're doing portraits. And you know, if you do a portrait of a random person, it's not like you'd be able to sell it. You might be able to sell a portrait of a beautiful painting that's not of the person that buys it. But a sculpture is a little bit harder. And draw sculpture classes very difficult. Yeah, I told you guys. You know, I used to teach. some sculpture classes. One was in Rockville, Maryland, and yeah, I guess not a lot of people that are showed up. It's a shame. But, the beauty of the internet is that you kind of have access to a lot of people. I kind of wish like you guys were sculpting at the same time. Like I think maybe the next one I'm gonna send you guys reference, maybe like a portrait or maybe a figure study. That'd be kind of cool. So kind of sculpt along with the same reference, and then at the end we'll kind of share all the artworks. That'd be kind of cool. Having a model is just cost prohibitive, unfortunately, and they kind of frown upon getting recorded unless you pay a lot of money. There's a lot of stuff you can do with sculpture. A lot of great sculpture is also like decoration. I've thought about doing like reliefs that are bookshelves, so it's always cool. Where I live, I'm told that sculptures don't sell. I have to get good enough to show national. Yeah, yeah, that's true. Like the sculptures tend to not to sell, but I have sold a few from the channel actually, which is I've had people contact me on the channel, and I've created sculptures for them on video, and then they bought them. I've sold a few that way, but it's kind of rare. And I've also sold sculptures on Etsy. So Etsy is actually pretty good. And one of the reasons I tell you guys to buy a 3D scanner, or if you have friends, get in it together on a scanner, and then a printer, because you can sell replicas that are smaller to people, and you could make money that way. I think that's the most approachable thing. So, if you print something in 3D, you can read as well. But unfortunately, I don't think sculpture